Hi everybody, so I've just opened up the Office for the web and I've uploaded the start file for PowerPoint 2A. Notice that I also have the instruction sheet here. When you open up the 2A Office for the web, notice that there are already several slides in here and we'll be working on editing those. Specifically for 2A, we're going to create a presentation that's similar to the one that's found in your e-text in this chapter. Okay, so remember, just like all of your other Office for the Web assignments, make sure that you do see your ribbon by enabling your classic ribbon, and you'll also want to click on Always Show. And so let's move on to step number 3. So it says to display slide 2. Remember, you can use the pane on the left side to navigate to your slides. It also says to place your insertion point anywhere in your content placeholder with the single bullet point. Just so it's easier to see first, I'm just going to zoom in a bit. And I'm going to click anywhere in this placeholder. You'll notice that once I click in here that you should see the border around that specific content placeholder. And then from here, we're just going to adjust this to the numbered style bullet list. So up in our paragraph group, we'll go ahead and click the default numbered list. Now that we've done that, we can move on to the next part of step 3, which is to click just once on that content placeholder border. You'll also notice that once you click on there, you should see your shape tab appear. This is just more of an FYI rather than you having to click on it. But what we're going to do is to go up to your home tab, and then in your font group, let's go ahead and change this to 24-point font size. Once we've done that, we can move on to step 4, which says to display slide number 3. And then again, we're going to click just anywhere in this bulleted list. I'll just click once. Next, I'm going to click once on that border. And then up on my home tab, in my paragraph group, again, just like the previous slide, I'm going to apply the numbered list. For step number 5, it says to display slide 4. And then it says to select the 3 second level bullet points. So the second level bullet points are the ones that are indented. So I'm selecting attraction entrances down to rest areas. Once you've done that, if you take a look at your instruction sheets, for this one we're going to adjust the bullet type. Instead of numbering, what we're going to do is to click the little down arrow next to your bullets list. And then it says to select the star bullets. So although it doesn't really look like a star, it's going to be these little diamonds here. And this is the star bulleted list. So once you've done that, what we're going to do is to go back up to slide number 2. And then it just says to position your insertion points into the paragraph. And so I'm just going to click once in this paragraph here. And then now let's remove this bullet. So there's 2 ways we can do this. We can either re-click this 1, 2, 3, or we can click the down arrow next to it and then select none. Okay, after you remove the bullet, you're going to click back in here and then click once on the border. And what we're going to do is to apply bold italic. And so this is why it's really important that you make sure you select the border, because notice that whatever you select for your formatting gets applied to the entire contents that are in that placeholder. So in addition to that, bold and italic. We're going to go back up to your paragraph group, and now we're going to adjust your line spacing. And so here this is going to be 2.0, and then we're also going to center this just like how we would normally center text. And so once you're done with that, we can move on to step number 7, which says to display slide number 5. Once you have slide number 5 up, it says in your content placeholder on the right side, we want to insert a stock image. So to do that, on the bottom row, on the bottom left, we have insert pictures from device, and then the one in the center is the one for stock images. Where it says search stock images, let's type in water and press enter. And then it says to select a horizontal image of water. So I'm just going to scroll down. And for me, this image looks fine, so I'm going to select this image. I'll then select insert. And you'll notice that your picture is now inserted into that placeholder. Your instructions also say to close out your designer pane. So here on the right, I'm just going to X this out. Sometimes, depending on the image that you selected, there might be a little text box that appears below it. Make sure that you just select the text box and delete it. And that's going to bring us to step number 8, where we're going to click on slide number 1. From here, we're going to go up to our Insert tab. And then in your Media group, let's click on Pictures. So now we're going to insert a picture that we had downloaded. And so you should have downloaded all the files when you first opened it up in MyLab. And if you recall, there was an image file, and that is the P02A red light. Again, we're going to close out this designer pane if it pops up on the right side. Also make sure that your picture is selected. You'll know it's selected because you should have this picture tab up at the top. From here, we're going to go to your size group, and we're going to change the height from 7.11 to 3.5. You can press enter. And then it also says, if necessary, on your View tab, in your Show group, make sure that you have your ruler enabled. You'll know it's enabled because the ruler button should have that border around it when your cursor is not over it. And you'll also see your top horizontal and your left vertical ruler here. And so if you take a look at the last part of the instructions for step number 8, it says to point to the picture and then drag it up so that your top edge of the picture aligns with the top edge of the slide. So first I'm going to just drag this up so that it is aligned with the very top of the slide. And then it says to drag the picture to the right until this right edge is approximately 1 inch from the right edge of the side. So if this is about 6.5 inches here, then 1 inch from that is going to be around my 5.5 inch mark there. So I'm just going to drag it over to the right, make sure that it's still top aligned, and then you can release your mouse button. Okay, and that's going to bring us to step number 9. Where we're going to click on slide number 6. We're then going to select the picture, and then we're going to crop it. So up on our Picture tab, in your Crop group, we're going to click the bottom half of your Crop button. and then we can click the crop again. Notice that there are several black edges here, and these are your crop handles. So your instructions say to drag the center left, so here's the center left, to the right to cover the leftmost tree. So it's talking about this tree here. So what we're going to do is to put your cursor over that center left crop handle. Your cursor should turn into like a sideways T, and then we'll just drag it over to the right a bit, and then release your mouse button. To apply the crop, you can do two things. You can either click this crop button here, or you can click the top half of the crop button in your crop group. Now let's move on to step number 10. So I'm going to go to slide 1, and then we're going to select our image. And now up on the picture tab, now we're going to do a crop to shape. So let's click on that down arrow below the crop button. Move your cursor down to crop to shape. And for this one, it says to select the first basic shape, which is oval. So under basic shapes, you do have an oval shape. And so notice that when we click on this oval basic shape, that it adjusts how our image looks by cropping it around so that it is in the proper shape. For step number 11, we're going to go ahead and click on slide number 3. Now up in our Insert tab, in our Text group, what we're going to do is to click the Text Box button. Make sure that you don't click unnecessarily right now. Just take a look at, after you click your text box button, your cursor is going to turn into this thin black cross. And this is just indicating to Excel that wherever we click, that's where our table or our text box is going to be inserted. And so it says to insert the text box in the bottom left area of the slide. So I'm just going to click about down here near the bottom left. Because it's a text box, notice that your cursor is flashing in there. And we'll type in exactly what's in blue in your instruction sheet, which is if safety is questionable. We're going to select the text that we typed out. And then we'll change the font size to 24. Remember, you can do that by going up to your Home tab. And then also, if necessary, we're going to drag the right border to resize it so that it's one line. So you'll notice that right now it's on 2 lines. So on the right center, I'm just going to drag that out a bit and then release my mouse button so that it is on 1 line. Now for step 12, still on slide number 3, what we're going to do is to go back up to our Insert tab. And then from our Insert tab, we're going to open up our Shapes. So in our Illustrations group, I'll click on the Shapes button. And then it says under block arrows. So down here, notice that we have a block arrow section. What we're going to do is to insert the first shape under block arrows, which is the right facing arrow. So I'm going to click on that right arrow. Once that closes, you'll notice that your cursor again turns into that thin black cross. And for the instructions, it does say to insert it to the right of your text box. So what we're going to do is to just move your cursor to the right of questionable. You'll click once with your left mouse button, and that's going to insert your right arrow. So up on your Shape tab, what we're going to do is to first adjust the width. That's simply going to be 2. and the height is going to be 0.5, and then press enter. Okay, if by default after you press 2 for the width and it changes to 1.9, just go back and rechange that to 2.0. Okay, and finally for step 12, it says if necessary, drag the shape back onto the slide. So depending on where you had clicked initially, maybe your arrow was down here. So just make sure that it is on your actual slide. And so that's going to bring us to step number 13. So I'm just going to click outside of my arrow really quickly. We're going to insert another shape. Remember, you can do that by going up to your Insert tab. In your Illustrations group, you'll click on Shapes. And then although your instructions say the last one under Basic Shapes in the first row, make sure that you select the octagon shape. So it says that the octagon is the last one, but you'll notice that the decagon is actually the last. So make sure you click the octagon. The screen tip will say octagon as well. So I'm going to click once. Now I'll click once to the right of the arrow. Okay, and so notice that again we have this shape tab up here. Let's adjust the width. So the width is going to be 2, and so is going to be the height. And then I'm also going to just drag this up so that we can see the entire shape on our slide. Now within our octagon, I'm going to click once and then type in the word stop. I'll then select the word stop and change this font size, and it says to change it to 32. Okay, that's going to bring us to step 14. So for step 14, let's move on to slide number 2. And then it says to put your cursor anywhere within your text. Once you do that, what we're going to do is to go up to your Shape tab. And then now in your Shape Styles group, we're going to select Shape Fill. So this little arrow here is going to allow us to change the background color of this content placeholder. And this one says in your 8th column, select the 4th color. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I'm going to go down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is going to be the gold accent 4, lighter 40%. So that's just adjusting the fill color, which is basically the background color of whatever shape you had. We can also adjust our outline. So if you go back to your Shape Styles group, below your Shape Fill is your Shape Outline. So let's click the down arrow next to Shape Outline. And now we're just going to adjust the thickness. So to do that, we'll go down to Weight, and then we're going to select 2 1/4 point. So notice that with that border or outline, it is a bit thicker. And this just helps our content stand out a bit more. Now for step 15, let's click on slide number 6. And then we're going to select the title, which is at Big Valley Ranch. And let's apply a font color. So up on our Home tab in our font group, I'm going to click on the down arrow next to my A with the red underline. And be very careful with the instructions. It says in this font color box here, under standard colors, so you're looking at this bottom section here, you're going to apply the 8th style. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is this blue option. Oops, and I accidentally reloaded my screen here. So again, I'm just going to select at Big Valley Ranch. I'm going to change my font color to this blue. And then I can move on to step number 16. So for step 16, I'm going to go to slide 5. I'll select the title, which was Prevent Heat Stroke During the Hot Summer Season. And then it says on our home tab in our font color arrow, we're going to apply the most recent color blue to the selection. So there's actually 2 ways we can do this. If you click on the capital A here, notice that there's a blue underline. This is the most recent color that we applied. Or you can use the down arrow and then just select on that same blue font color that we had applied to our slide number 6. Okay, we just have a few more steps left to go. For here, we're going to look at step 17 now, which says to display slide 3. Now on our arrow shape, we'll go up to your shape tab, and then in your shape styles group, we're going to click on our shape styles. So that's going to be this more button here. Your more button in this case is just this tiny down arrow. And it says you'll select the second column, third style. So make sure you're looking underneath shape styles. Here's the second column, and then I'll go down 3. So 1, 2, 3. This is a light outline, colored fill, blue accent 1. Next it says to the if safety is questionable text box. So I'm going to click on that text box. I'm going to go back and open up my shape styles. And then it says to apply the shape style in the 5th column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4th style. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a subtle effect, gold accent 4. As for our stop sign, this is just going to be a shape fill. Make sure you click the down arrow next to shape fill. And then it says to click the first standard color, which is dark red. Now for step 18, we're going to go down to slide number 6. We're going to select the picture, and then we're going to copy this picture. So to do that, we're going to duplicate it by holding down Control on your keyboard and then pressing D as in duplicate just 1 time. Notice that there's now a copy of that picture. So what I'm going to do is to hold down my Shift key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to click on that picture that's in the back. So I'm going to click once, let go of my Shift key. Notice that you should have a border around both pictures now. Now what we're going to do is to go up to your picture tab, and then in your arrange group, we're going to click the align button. So notice that there are a few buttons here that don't have titles. Make sure that you do click on this top center one. You see a screen tip that does say align. And then here it says to click on align to slide. So just make sure align to slide is selected. And then what we need to do is to do an align right. Notice that they're both right aligned now. And now what we're going to do is to distribute them vertically. So it says still on our picture tab. We're going to go back to our arrange group, and this time we're going to select distribute vertically. So that's still in your align button, and I'll click distribute vertically. So notice that they're evenly spaced vertically on your slide. So there's just one more thing we need to do, and that's to apply a picture style using the quick styles. So up on your picture tab, what we're going to do is to look for your quick styles. For us, we're going to click on this little down arrow next to picture styles. And we want to select the soft edge rectangle style. Okay, and so I just clicked on this little down arrow in case you don't have these several main options here. If you do have all of these, if you hover your cursor over this one, this is your soft edge. But if for whatever reason you only have maybe 3 or 4 showing, definitely click this More button, and then you should be able to see the soft edge rectangle screen tip up here over this one. So just keep scrolling your mouse or moving your mouse over each one until you see the soft edge rectangle. That's going to apply that style around your pictures. Notice that it's not just a hard border around them. This is what's called soft edges. Finally, for step 19, we're going to go back to slide 3. And then it says to select all 3 objects. So what I'm going to do is to first click once on our text box. Now I'm going to hold down Control. While holding down Control, I'm going to click on the arrow as well as the stop sign. And then I'm going to release my Control key on my keyboard. If you want, you can also use your cursor to manually select those 3 images. Just make sure that you only select those images and you don't accidentally select everything. We only want these 3 things selected. So once you have those selected, we're going to go back up to our shape group. And remember, in your Arrange, we have the Align button. This time we are going to click on Align Selected Objects. So you're not going to see any change yet until we set another alignment format. So what we're going to do again is to go back up to our Align button. This time we're going to click on Align Middle. Notice that with that Align Middle, it aligns all of your objects to the center of basically the largest image that we had here, which is our octagon. Okay, so with these still selected, now what we're going to do is to distribute it horizontally. So that's back in my Align button. I'll click Distribute Horizontally. Notice that that distributes it so that there's an even space between each of those objects. Okay, and so it also says on your Shape tab, what we're going to do is to group our objects. So right below our Align button, this is our Group Objects button. So I'm going to click on that and then click on Group. Notice that instead of individual borders around each of them, now there's just one giant border around all 3 of them. And so what we're going to do now that it's grouped, up on our Shape tab, we're going to go back to our Align button, and this time we're going to do an Align Center. So all 3 of those shapes are aligned centered, and then we're also going to bottom align them. So Align Bottom. Notice that it now aligns it to the bottom of the slide. Okay, so we can go ahead and do a file, create a copy, and download a copy. And you can upload that into MyLab. So since this video was quite long, I'm going to go ahead and create a separate video for the 2B PowerPoint Office for the Web.